Yes. Yo, this is the story. Welcome everyone to that. Welcome to Into the Multiverse, a DC Comics podcast. I'm your host, Taladia Blaze, and I'm joined by my special guest tonight, which is Pika Shades. Welcome, Pika. And today we're going to be deep diving into James Gunn's Superman. Yes, you heard it here. We're going to be deep diving into James Gunn's Superman, and I cannot wait to discuss that. But firstly, I want to say welcome, Chainsaw. I know you. If you're here, still here, thanks for popping in. Kidding, am I? I don't know, man. Anyway, um, so welcome, Pika.
Yeah,
Firstly,
thanks for having me.
no problem. I thought because I know that Pika's already done a review, I thought why not get a second opinion on the film, so like it's not just one sided. So there's an equal balance for you guys. So, firstly, Pika, what did you think of the film without going into spoiler territory?
Well, it was well directing. It was with James Gunn having also written and draw and directed it. It's clearly see that this was his vision on how to do Superman. That it's basically how he is Superman, how he writes Superman. It's many people might have their own views on how Superman is, and they might write their own like some fan fictions on it, and and James Gunn in this case was able to broad stroke it in like his fan fiction version into being now the canon movie version. That's something of a, I'm trying to say it as nicely as I can, but that's now one way of putting it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Tevia says, "Hey, what's up, Tevia? My day's going good. How you doing, Tevia?" Anyway, as for like when, because we're going to be talking spoilers, so if you haven't seen the film yet, I'm sure you guys have, then you got like 5 seconds before we talk spoiler because we are doing a spoiler talk stream. So that is the plan for tonight. All right, so let's kick things off, shall we, Pika? We'll kick things off at the beginning, right? Superman. The first thing you see is Superman diving into the snow, and it does it doesn't give us the origins. There's no like a 5 minute intro like they did with Zack Snyder's BVS, where it was
Or
where it,
Watchmen.
or Watchmen, where it was just like a 5 minute intro of Batman's origins or Superman's origins for that matter. This was like straight in there, just the text format of them
Yeah.
saying Superman's been on Earth for 3 years.
Yeah, it
There
went
was
full on with the rule of three. Like
yeah,
it went from 300 years to 30 years to 3 years to 3 days, 3 hours, and 3 minutes, or
so
somewhere along those lines.
but it was still interesting to see that, and then obviously it kicked things off from what we saw from that 5 minute clip, which is James Gunn gave the public, which was Crypto coming to save Superman and taking him to the Fortress of Solitude, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, it's something that it's new. You could say that it's new, kind of different. It wasn't something that trying to do the same thing again. It was trying to do something new and fresh with the how do you say that, with the same toys or new toys that have not been played with yet, and doing and showing what you can do with them in that sense.
I was just like, I was just gonna say that I felt that the fortress was very well done. Like it wasn't like something we've seen before. It felt like a comic book Fortress of Solitude.
It was kind of like a mix of both, like from the original Donner movies, the Crystal Palace, and some of the newer ones that has the inside have some, not something that is controlled with different crystals being put into certain crystal holes or something else, but rather it has Kryptonian technology in there as something of a bottle of a time capsule of a world that no longer exists.
Yeah. So what did you think about them re-energizing Superman with the what's it called, magnifying glass thing that
I suppose
heals.
that's something that I would have very recommend to talk about. There's something that when I talk about James Gunn doing Superman way and people have different ways. Something that I look at it with Superman and Superman's powers is that I would mostly compare them to, like, for example, a phone battery.
Yeah.
Like Superman, when he is in the sun, it's like the same thing as plugging the battery into a charger. And then when Superman goes out of the sun, like it's a cloudy day or he goes indoors somewhere, it's like taking the charger out and surviving with how much energy the battery has been charged with. So the magnifying glass version could be like hurrying up or making the charging of his powers make it happen faster.
Yeah. Little movie prep. What's up, my dude? Shout out goes out to you, by the way. Anyway, bringing it back to Superman, I also think I thought it was cool that they had the magnifying glass thing to enhance and heal his powers. But also then him going back to the fray, him saying, "I gotta go back to the fray," him saying that, and then him taking on the Hammer of Bavaria,
Bavar.
which go on.
Hammer of Baravia or some Baravia was it? Hold on,
Yeah,
did I write in the notes what it was?
it was. I think it was the Hammer of Bavaria. I can't pronounce
Bavaria
it.
or something. Bovaria. That's
Yeah.
what Hammer of Boravia. That's how I wrote it into my notes when I was watching the movie.
Okay. So Hammer of Bavaria, like he went back to fight him, and what's interesting is that there was a dude inside of it. And it
Yeah.
wasn't like I thought it was a robot at first when they showed it in the trailers. I thought, is it going to be a dude? Is it going to be a robot? I had no idea. So it was I was kind of questioning things. But then when you see that he was, Lex Luthor was giving him the commands of like 1A or 3C or something along the lines of that.
21J or 21R.
Yeah, and it was something along the lines of that where I was just like, okay, I see what Lex is doing here. And then you could see when Superman got knocked down to onto the ground of Metropolis, all the Metropolis people came in, tried to help him. It makes me think, is this close enough that we're gonna get to Superman the animated series? As like for like its first few years.
More or less, considering how they decided to make it that it's Superman at his third year. It's mostly that he has done all the necessary legwork that would come from making his first appearance, like getting the people's trust, and most of people are confident in witnessing that he gets the job done in protecting them from whatever threat they might come.
Yeah. And then from that, obviously this is the first time Superman has ever been defeated, by the way. Forgot to mention that.
Yeah, this version, as they said that.
Yeah, this is the first time we've seen on film Superman has ever been defeated. And we've never seen Superman bleed that much. I forgot to mention that before. It's like we've never seen Superman bleed that much,
Yeah,
but
that's
he
one of
had
those.
like blood coming from the mouth and all sorts. But bringing it back to Metropolis, how do you feel about the fact that the guy says, "Are you okay, Superman? Is everything okay? Can you carry on and stuff like
Yeah,
that?"
Malik's character was.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the like I said that the people who have seen him fight most of the things they would expect him or have faith in Superman, and maybe they have the same faith, but maybe they know that Superman also needs to know that people have faith in him. So them giving that encouragement is maybe some kind of some version of here Goku, take our energy for the spirit bomb.
that would have been funny. That would have been funny if there was a spirit bomb in there, but it's not. This is not Goku. This is Superman.
Yeah, but
But
it's a comparison.
yeah, but I feel as well when it comes down to this movie, what they've done well is there was a start, middle, and end, right? And the story was a flow. There was no like you got very high moments and it stuck like that. It was like it it was like a roller coaster. It felt right. That's what I felt. The beginning felt like it was just getting there, and then obviously towards the end you're going like in a roller coaster. You're going like you're
Yeah.
diving down.
Actually,
On a,
thinking through the whole how the movie starts, what's in
yeah,
the middle, in the with the as the
it's the
insight and the other inciting incident, and then how the end goes. It pretty much goes through the basic 3-act structure that most movies introduce
yeah.
or go through.
It goes through a 3 act structure, but at least I gotta say I felt for Crypto in this film. You gotta feel for Crypto, right? He was the star of this. He was the star of the hero side of the show, right? Besides David Corenswet, right? It made me feel like I wanted to get a dog. I'm sorry, it made me feel that I want to get a dog, because Crypto is just adorable. He was everything that I thought I can just imagine Crypto being. And yeah, what did you think of Crypto?
Well, like it's they pretty much introduced crypto in as in crypto has not been used much outside of maybe like a normal dog, a dog that have that some versions of Superman had growing up as Clark Kent, but even like I've been watching Smallville, for example. There was the Shelby in the it's there, and then also Superman and Lois also in the end he had a dog. So crypto in that sense has not been used very much, but even most of the comics, crypto is also kind of a self taken for granted of being there. Like for example, you remember that how even in Batman Hush, crypto shows up as the secret weapon on how
Yeah,
Superman and Batman track down Poison Ivy.
yeah. But in this film, I felt that Crypto was a useful character instead of a useless character.
Yeah, but even as in the crypto was used as the take him to the fortress, and then we'll get to the how useful crypto was in the end
Yeah,
when we get to there.
when we get to the end. But when it comes down to like Superman and Lois, because after that fight with the Hammer Bavaria, right? Superman, aka Clark Kent, goes to the Daily Planet and he writes up an article about himself.
Mm.
And
Yeah, that's
everyone's like,
very
go on.
Byrne-ish. Like of the early post-crisis kind of
It felt like
characterization.
it felt like an Oedipus crisis, but also at the same time, it definitely felt like a New 52-ish type of thing to do.
Yeah, but like with Grant Morrison's Action Comics run, because that's how
Mm.
that was doing.
It was interesting to see that Lois and Jimmy were saying, "How did Clark get this interview done?" And they were trying to figure it out, even though Lois knows who Clark is.
Mm.
It was like, Jimmy, that she has to play along with the fact that you know
Yeah, some versions have like try to make it not too obvious or just imply that Jimmy knows, but he keeps knowing to himself. And
hmm
since I brought up Batman Hudson just now, there's also the inner monologue that Batman has when he comments that Perry White might also know, but he also feigns ignorance for the what's that plausible deniability reasons.
yes. I also think when it comes down to it as well, when it comes down to the film, I also like the fact that Lois goes back to her flat, right? And in the
Yeah.
film, and the first thing she does, she gets wary because she's worried that somebody's in her apartment. But in actual fact, it was Clark. Clark was making her breakfast or making her some food, and she was like, "I gotta get Bat ready," and
Mm.
she almost whacked him with the baseball bat.
Yeah, well, wouldn't have caused much damage with that one. But anyway, there's also kind of what did it? When I first saw it, I was also kind of thinking back to how in the Superman Doomsday movie there was the whole
Yeah.
that Lois was in a relationship with Superman without knowing that he's Clark. It
Yes.
was also it could have also been that Superman was in her apartment just wearing those kinds of clothes. Yeah, and as if not to raise too many suspicions, but yeah, that would have like too many cross-eyed thoughts, trains of thoughts. So it's more or less probably that they had come to the point where she knows that he is Clark.
But I'll say this though. What's also cool is Lois wants to get to the bottom of things.
Hmm.
She wants to get she's an actual journalist in
Hmm.
this universe. She felt like a journalist.
Hmm.
She didn't feel like uh going no offense to Snyder, but it didn't feel like she was going off doing something dangerous. She was actually doing interviews. So Lois did that interview with Clark. Clark agreed to it.
Yeah. Or
Now it
Clark
was
suggested it, and or Clark said something along the lines that he could give one of those interviews to her, and she was like, "Are you serious?" And they was like, "Yeah, sure." Okay, and
plays the interview, but then the interview goes a little bit haywire,
uh,
and I'm just like thinking that's a bit weird for Clark. Well, not weird. It's kind of like a rough Clark Kent. It's like a first year, second year Clark Kent where he still doesn't know. Oh, I've got to say things off the record.
mm, yeah, it's kind of like a what like it's supposed to be like year 3 version, and well, since you now brought up the old Snyder version, that most of what that was, it was maybe 18 months plus.
Yeah.
So knowing that what happened to Snyder's Superman in that time, what has this Superman been doing during those 3 years? That actually is something that the TV tropes would call fan fiction fuel in trying to create and imagine stories set during that time.
But it's like what she asked it was really compelling questions.
Hmm.
And it was like at some part of these questions, it was difficult for him to reply back. And I just felt like Clark has to say sometimes I felt like Clark should have said, I can't say these I can't say this, I have to say this off the record. So I said
Hmm.
off the record, that's what
Yeah.
she should be saying. And he didn't say that. And it felt like a really rough Clark Kent that still needs to learn the ropes of journalism.
Yeah.
I still think that he's still got a long way to go for his journalism routes for with
Makes yeah.
interviewees type of
That's
thing.
exactly most of that fanfic fuel I brought up, like in those 3 years. Like, how did he get the job to work at the Daily Planet with if his knowledge on journalism is on that level?
Yeah, it's kind of like how did he get away with it? That's a good question.
Hmm.
How did he get into the Daily Planet?
Yeah, comparing, for example, with uh, the 90s Lois and Clark show, there was I
Mhm.
remember in the pilot episodes he tried to get he had there was the interview he had with Perry, and he was trying to go show with some articles he had written in the past, and those were not good enough. And then later in the pilot episode, he was going through found his way to some theater, which was, I don't know, I remember if it was for closing, and some actress was reliving her glory days in reciting some lines, and he went into there, talked with her, interviewed her, and then there was a montage where he was writing an article so fast that he was writing with a typewriter. It started to smoke was starting to come out of it, and wrote an article, brought that to Perry, and that's how he got the job in that show.
Yes. But in this one, it was like I still think he still needed to learn how to do interviews. I don't think he was ready yet. I still think when it came down to this film, he was rough on it. But
Now that actually, with
go on.
yeah. No, I just remembered there was that one scene also when he was coming to walking to work and walked past his desk or going there. He was caught up by Lombard, and Steve
Yeah.
Lombard also he gave him some tips on that, thinking about that his writing was somewhat flawed and he could spice it up with something that what the Lombard does with his sports articles.
Yes.
That's
It
one other
he
aspect that there was.
and Lombard called him a loser as well. We totally
Mm,
forgot about that. He called him a loser.
yeah.
So it's definitely accurate to the comics for sure. Um, but then in the film, she in the film she sorry, Clark walks out of the
Mm.
interview because he couldn't hack it.
Yeah, but still said that he gave Lois enough material to write something.
Yeah. What's also
Mo-
interesting is the engineer. We forgot to mention the engineer knows the location of the Fortress of Solitude.
mm. Yeah, that was something that they just showed her having walking in the Arctic and have most likely having followed the. Maybe Luthor had some satellite tracking where Superman was flying. Which
Yeah.
actually, if he was doing that, it's a wonder how none of those satellites had caught him going to Clark Kent's apartment or maybe to the
Or
Kent farm.
or even to the fortress, or not to the fortress, or even to the Daily Planet.
Mm. Could also be maybe the fact that maybe they actually found the fortress that way, that there were some different patterns that led there, but there also Luthor was adamant and was completely unaware of there being any other connection between Superman and Clark Kent other than that Clark Kent had been interviewing Superman.
Now let's talk about Lex because Lex was a vital role in this film,
Hmm.
and I felt that Lex was a you had to love him to hate him. You had
Hmm.
that love hate relationship with him,
Hmm.
and the one good thing about that was the fact that I believe this. I think he's this generation's Gene Hackman. He was
Hmm.
this generation's Gene Hackman of Lex Luthor, if you think about it.
Hmm. Yes, it's kind of said that Nicholas Hoult is a good actor, and
Yeah.
they were able to make him look like the character very well. So it's also the portrayal is also dependent on the material he's given, and there's also kind of some, for example, parts could say that how much of the portrayal and the material was maybe going like used just right, like not too much, not too little, and not going too far with the like. It's a fact that Lex Luthor hates Superman, but there's also the fact that his hatred should not blind him too much with it.
But it's like he had a plan from the start to take down Superman.
Hmm.
And like he was planning things and from the Hammer Bavaria to the fact that his own, like he built a pocket universe, for crying out loud. Like
Hmm.
he built like a pocket type machine that can take him from one destination to another destination, which is
Basically,
like,
like portal technology. Is it that the pocket dimension could also be like between the dimension between the portals and then expanding it into that pocket dimension?
it felt like a bit like something from Young Justice. Like if you think about it.
Yeah, or actually something that you know. Remember how the Superman Red Sun? There's
Yeah.
the whole plot twist in the end where turns out that Superman was in that story was never a Kryptonian, so Phantom Zone did not exist. Yet there was some kind of pocket dimension that Luthor did have access to and had created. So that could be mostly said to Superman reference to Superman Red Sun.
Hmm. I also gotta say it's like, but it's like that. It was a circle thing, and I was just like thinking, um, yeah, it felt like a Young Justice episode where you
Mm,
go through the portal and it takes you to the next place. I
mm,
think with that technology, it's like it was kind of weird for not weird, but it was kind of cool to see that
mm,
on the big screen. Um, but we also got to talk about the fact that how Lex had a schemy little thing to
mm,
set off set Superman off on a wild goose chase.
mm.
So what does he do?
Yeah, the kaiju.
Yeah, sets off the kaiju while he and um hey, what's up, Darkness on the Wind? How you doing?
Hmm.
Um he sets off the attack on Geneva.
Mm.
And if you remember, the president does not like Superman at all.
Mm. Yeah, Baravian president.
The Baravian president does not like Superman whatsoever.
Mm.
And what's also interesting as well to add to this is what else was there? Oh, the characters like Eve Tessmacher and like her um her portrayal in this film was really well done as well, I felt.
Yeah, there's the whole version of the if you it's named after the character from the Donner films,
Yeah.
but it was made into brought up in the others. It's one of those subversion of the expectations of a dumb blonde who's just being and and actually it's kind of makes it most of the time it's like influencer taking selfies is and then that eventually gets turned into something of a hidden in plain sight revelation that could actually be the other message that the movie has besides of being kind, like have a good internet security to keep your personal data from leaking.
Yeah, here's another thing. When Lex and the crew go to the Fortress of Solitude while Superman is fighting the kaiju,
Mm.
and then he goes to like a Lex goes to a news um channel and leaks out the whole Jor-El and Lara's last words to Kal-El
Mm.
in the message. Now, what James Gunn has said is that is the legit message. There was no tampering, nothing.
Yeah.
Right? I thought it was a. I felt that um, it felt that that kind of thing did happen. We've seen something like that happen before, and I was looking this up. It did happen in Smallville.
In
Funnily
Smallville,
enough.
it was kind of because I have been watching with my brother, rewatching it with my brother. It's with Smallville, they did the whole thing with Jor-El, mostly like tests and challenges that were preparing Clark to become Superman,
No, I mean the
or
message. I mean the message.
the message was, but there
Tampered.
were
It's
other
like, but it
so
was
other.
like, but it was like the message that he put out there. Like
Hmm,
Jor-El put the message. It was a similar type of thing to what James Gunn did in this
hmm,
film, where he says, basically, you are sent there to reproduce Krypton,
hmm,
type of thing. And I'm just like thinking, I'm like, okay, that's an interesting way to do things, but
hmm.
is it the right way of doing things? I don't think so.
Uh,
I wouldn't have gone down that route.
hmm. Yeah, yeah,
I wouldn't have
it's
gone.
yeah, something. There are people who have been like, for example, even Mark Wade, out of all the people who have been praising it, says that that's the one thing that he doesn't like.
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't like was the fact that the Jor-El and Lara's last message. And so in this film, the engineer hacks into the hacks the fortress's computers, gets gets the last ending of the message because the only thing he got the first part of the message. Kal-El Superman got the first part of the message that we sent you here for the hope and all of that. Gave him the hopeful meaning at the beginning, and then at the end,
Hmm.
it's he didn't get the last piece. But once he got the last piece via Lex Luthor's hacking engineer, the engineer hacking it, and Lex going to the computer, everyone turned on Superman in the film.
Hmm.
Everyone, all the crowds turned on Superman, and the Justice. He goes back to Stag's.
Yeah, just goes inside the building to have a moment of to
Piece.
himself from all the people outside cursing at him, and yeah, then the Justice Gang comes to.
It's it's interesting that to see
Hmm.
how human Superman is from this. His emotion is is all there
Hmm.
to see up front. He had no idea, he had no clue. He thinks it's been tampered with. So he goes back to the fortress from that like from
Yeah,
going inside the building, him and the Green Lantern have a kind of a kicking off type of thing.
yeah.
And
Hold on,
then
did he say that? Hold on. Did he tell them that the version that he knows was damaged? Because I remember he told
yeah,
Lois later. Did he tell them that it was damaged?
he
He's only
told
heard the
Lo
first half.
he told Lois it was the first half. I
Yeah,
remember
but
him
did he
telling.
tell the others, like Mr. Ribbick and
He
the
told
other
Green
gang?
Lantern. He told Green Lantern and Mister Terrific and them that it was the first half that was sent.
Hmm. And they
He did
were
not know,
just, was it?
but
Well, they were
they
mostly
weren't too sure.
kind of apathetic about it, like weren't
Yeah,
okay or nah about it.
they weren't too sure about it, and it's like I'm like,
Mm.
okay. That was interesting to see how the Justice Gangs react to it.
Mm.
Because obviously the Justice Gang was there to help out Superman with the kaiju. Because all this whole thing was leading because of the kaiju's fight. And this didn't happen like in one day. This happened overnight. The whole
Yeah, it started it started somewhere around the night when it was released, and then it was first noticed somewhere in the morning when it started to grow bigger.
yeah. And then Frank Grillo's Rick Flag Sr. because he was a crucial part of this film, like
Mm.
a crucial like side character where he does not like superheroes at all. Yes, I did see a message on Daiki. We'll talk about that afterwards.
Mm.
Um. Anyway, what I was gonna say is when it comes down to Frank Grillo and you see Ultraman and the engineer wanting to arrest Superman, he gave up easily. Like he saw
Yeah,
Superman give up like without resistance and put him down to the floor and all of that. And I felt, I felt that it definitely felt like the Man of Steel vibes from that. Like you know how Superman get arrested and for
yeah,
mankind type of thing.
gets arrested and turns himself in. Is walk wearing handcuffs, and yeah, then he falls to the floor, similar to how it happened on the what's it called on Black Zero in Man of Steel.
Yeah, it felt it felt cool, and you know it felt cool that you had Frank Grillo be the center of attention of this thing, right?
Yeah, it's
Because he and the government see Superman as a threat after that leak, and obviously Lex has a plan, with Ultraman and the engineer and the robots. Was it the no? It wasn't the robots. It was
the Raptors.
the Raptors types of
By the way, you have seen
um
the movie more times than I have. I tried to when on my second viewing try to see which part of the Raptors was voiced by Michael Rosenbaum, because he was supposed to be he was supposed to have a voice cameo as voicing one of the Raptors.
yeah, I didn't notice that. I just didn't notice
Yeah,
the
I try to see on my second viewing on when he said it, on where he spoke.
I think once we get like commentary from James Gunn, because if you guys don't know, James Gunn is doing a commentary director's cut for Superman for home release. So I think James Gunn will point out where exactly that is, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
We
unless
but we
someone points it out and unless someone already finds it before that and then posts it on X or TikTok or somewhere else.
yeah, but we also got to mention this, the cameo from just before we carry on is the cameo from Will Reeve, Christopher Reeve's son.
Hmm.
I think that was interesting. He had like a 30-second cameo. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, it was like I knew that he was gonna happen, that he was gonna have the cameo. They announced it before the movie was coming out, and basically when it was happening, I was like, "Oh yeah, there."
So
And
it
it made
was
sense. And it made also sense that he was kind of also used as a brief plot device in expositioning on who the Justice Gang were.
yeah, for sure. Um,
Oh, you as
so
well.
so go on. as I was saying, when it comes down to um, the film, what was also interesting is as well. So we're moving along the movie. They arrest him. They take Superman into the pocket dimension. How did you feel about that?
Well, it was the interesting aspect of doing that. I wonder if during his 3 years of having been active, he has ever been learned about Phantom Zone, or could have maybe commented about Krypton having had one of those, or if he, but maybe it would have been better to not say anything about it, because that would have not have helped his case in being accused of so many things and then being aware of having something similar.
Right. Yeah. But I do know one thing though. After that, it
Uh,
um sorry. So
yeah.
you know the pocket dimension, they introduced Metamorpho.
Mm.
Now that was cool. Metamorpho was a cool character. I think he was, besides him and Mr. Terrific. No, sorry. Besides Metamorpho, him and Mr. Terrific were the standout
Well,
side heroes.
it's one of those characters like it's one of those side character. I don't know what if it's something of if it's a phenomenon that has a name, but it's mostly that you introduce somewhere in the middle when most people are already paying attention. You introduce a new character who stands out and give enough of them so that like in small doses here and there during the story, that eventually when the story is over or comes to a close and it comes time to wait for the next part to come out, people will be asking more of that thing that they got some few small doses of.
So something like a Metamorpho series, people want something along the lines of
Mm,
that.
yeah.
I think that might be the case as well. I think people want Metamorpho, uh, live action Metamorpho series. I think that'd be cool.
Mm. Well, maybe he will appear with the Justice Gang in Peacemaker season 2.
Maybe we don't know that yet. All we know is from for that we'll leave that towards the end, because that Superman Superman is like a month before Peacemaker. But
Mm.
when it comes down to the pocket dimension, you see like he uses his hands and he turns it into kryptonite.
Mm.
And I felt that effect, the visual effects for that were brilliant.
Yeah, it's mostly. It also the way how kryptonite works is it depends on the different versions on how it works. It's for now, for example, it felt like it was mostly just, well, it's supposed to be a radioactive rock, but the way
Yeah.
how it was used, it was made to look like a green crystalline line piece of stuff that when it hold close to Superman, it actually made it look like his skin was burning off.
Yeah, you could see like his skin was going all weird, and it was like I was just like thinking, is he burning alive?
Mm. On other versions of when it comes to kryptonite, is most people have just used this as something like a deterrent that maybe like turns his functions off, or just makes him like go limp and give him pain, or or maybe or just makes it acts like a virus, or actually going back to the solar energy comparison I made earlier. It could be also that if Superman's powers have a percentage, like
Mhm.
going from 0 to 100, Kryptonite could very much have the same effect as when, well, you know how during the winter you have if you have it's really cold and your
Yeah.
phone just up and dies. That's the effect that Kryptonite has on Superman. It makes the battery go out way really fast and too long, and it's fatal.
it's definitely fatal. So yeah, when it comes down to the kryptonite thing, I thought that was interesting. But then you see Lex brings out the guy from the at the beginning of the film. He brings out the civilian
Yeah, Malik.
Malik, brings him out to
It was just
Superman,
Mali.
and he basically, uses
Yeah,
uses the
Russian
weapon,
roulette.
Russian roulettes, and says, if he does no bullet, he stays alive. If there's a bullet, he's deleted, basically.
Yeah,
And you feel bad because Superman knows that he didn't do anything wrong.
and he doesn't have. It's like one of those cases that you're being tortured for information that you don't have. You would be willing to give that information, but you don't have any information to give. Like they ask you questions that you don't have any answers to give to, or you have given those answers already. They don't believe you, and saying that those same answers wouldn't make any difference anymore.
Yeah, it didn't. It felt as if what's the word? It felt it felt like Superman felt for Malik, and then Metamorpho obviously was like, I didn't sign up for this. This is something I didn't want. So he helps out Superman, and Superman asks him, I need the sun. I need the sun.
Mm.
And he creates like a,
Some kind of miniature sun with
yeah,
all the particles that he's able to turn his full body into.
into
What's that?
superpowered.
I wasn't actually even aware of that. Well, I have not familiarized myself on most Metamorpho stories. I think that most of the Metamorpho stories that I have read is just the 70s version of Batman and the Outsiders, which introduced him as a member of the Outsiders.
I know in the Justice League cartoons, you know, he had the abilities to make different things and
Yeah,
acids and whatnot.
yeah,
But
creating a sun is a well, that was something that maybe he can do it, and it has not been done before, and it was just
it was
gone
a cool thing.
as one of writer among the many just decided to establish that yep, can do this.
And it was really cool because Metamorpho wanted to save his son, and his son was on the other cell.
Mm.
So Superman says, "I'll save your son." Blah blah blah. He creates the sun, a solar power being, so to say. Superman gets up, breaks the glass, flies off into the other cell, gets his son, knocks out the other two soldiers, and then the whole pocket dimension thing is slowly eating
Yeah,
them.
because Lois and Mr. Terrific were keeping the portal open for too long.
Yeah, Mr. Terrific and Lois went to go and look for Superman, which they did, and they located him, and the whole pocket dimension thing. Because I thought Mr. Terrific's scene as well, forgot to mention this, Mr.
Mm.
Terrific's scene midway through this film, it was like his actions were awesome. Like you got to
Yeah.
see like he had the spears, the T spears going off everywhere, and
Mm. Yeah,
and
and Mr. Terrific was also one of those, like I said, one like character introduced in the middle of the story, given small dosages of, and something that people will ask for more when the story is over.
yes, for sure. So once they locate Clark, crypto. You know how crypto is. Crypto, it's up the one of the T spears.
Yeah. Also, great foreshadowing on how crypto is useful later.
Yeah, which is foreshadowing things. Yes, but they luckily Superman fought off so many different gods, and he saved the baby and Metamorpho from from getting swollen up into the black hole of the pocket dimension, which was pretty unique. And then after that, they come out of the dimension, and then Superman, Mr. Terrific, Metamorpho. Mr. Metamorpho goes off somewhere, and
Yeah.
Mr. Terrific and Lois and Superman fly off to Metropolis because they need.
Actually, I think Mr. Terrific stood behind and basically gave the keys to his ship to Lois, and Lois
Yes,
flew Superman to Kent Farm.
yes, that's correct. He flew him back to Kent Farm, where Superman was recovering. It took him 2 days to recover, I believe.
Something along those lines.
Which,
I could check the
but
GPS
it was,
summary too.
but it was interesting though, Pika, right? That how like Lois goes to the Kent Farm. The first thing Jonathan and Martha Kent is embrace Lois.
Yeah, it was they said that in the movie that they have been seeing each other for few months. What was that, another rule of three, like 3 months?
I think it was 3 months, but it didn't say until the end. But we'll get to that part. But before that, like Jonathan and Martha Kent embraced Lois, welcomed them into their home, helped Clark up into the bed. Clark was recovery mode, and then I think it was the next day or something. Clark goes out into the farm. He sees Crypto trying to chase off the cows, and furthermore, it's like he's trying to figure out what he has to do as Superman. And because Lois pops off, before that, Lois pops off because she gets a phone call from Jimmy.
Yeah, because Jimmy has gotten the selfies from Eve.
Yeah, because he got a text message from Eve of all the plans of what Lex had got planned out. So Lex obviously had no idea about this, but it was cool to see that. But then obviously Jonathan was telling Clark, the right things and not the wrong things. Giving him a fatherly advice. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, saying that parents give tools and the children are supposed to just figure out how to use those tools.
How did you feel about that?
Well, it's also it's one. It's otherwise it's a flawed, but also a better message, good message in the sense that yes, the parents give the tools and you're supposed to decide what to do with them, but there's also maybe first the parents also teach you how to use them, but you choose how to use the tools. Say that one of the.
But how did you feel about Jonathan giving him these advice instead of like giving him the wrong advice?
Most of the time, Barkent when Clark has been old as an adult and Superman already, the advices that Barkent gives are, well, it's depends on how it's delivered. Like most of the times when I think about the good advices, or most of the advice that he has been given is in What's So Funny About True Justice and the American Way, for example, there was the whole thing with how to deal with the elite. Like don't try to debate them, try to educate them in showing a better way to do it. And if that doesn't work, then use violence as the last option.
Okay. But for me, it's like I think for me as well, one thing I would mention, this is the first time that we see Ma and Pa Kent while Superman is active. In role as playing Clark is playing Superman as active.
Mm.
Active is playing Superman. I think this is the first time on a big screen. The
Yeah,
last time we got something like that was Superman, the Adventures of
yeah,
Clark
Lois
and
and Clark in the 90s, that
yeah,
TV show.
that's the only time we've got something like that. But then, so after Clark has been given that advice and whatnot, um, so Mr. Terrific comes saying, "Superman, we need you. Metropolis is falling apart."
Yeah, the pocket dimension is now gotten loose, and there's the whole schism coming from it in dividing the city in half, and then also at the same time the
The fight
Moravia
over,
is invading Yarhampur.
yeah, the fight in Moravia and Yarampur was going on at the same time. So luckily for Superman, he has friends,
Hmm.
which is in the Justice Gang.
Yeah, that's something you can see from my review that I was saying that that the fact that the Justice Gang with Green Lantern, Hawker, and Mr. Terrific are in the movie is that would have justified that the movie could have still been called Superman subtitle or Superman Legacy. Yes, in the fact that they are supporting characters, but they are still characters who exist outside of Superman's sandbox. It's
Yes.
something of a broken base from my own narrow-minded point of view. Some people might disagree with it. Some people might agree with it. That's
No, but I get you. I get you.
it's a me problem.
No, I get you. No, I totally get you.
Hmm.
So Superman goes off to Metropolis, tries to save as many people as he can, and then people start to change their mind on Superman,
Hmm.
and because he's saving people left, right, and center in Metropolis, and
Yeah,
it's like
while people
and
are fleeing away from the
a
well,
pocket dimension from the
hmm,
pocket dimension thing, which is breaking Metropolis in half, by the way.
yeah,
So I felt that was really cool to see that Clark is just like, okay, if I had to pick one thing or another, I have to go save. I can't pick two, but I have to do something about this. So he goes back home and saves home, um, as I call it, Metropolis.
hmm,
Um, so he does that, and who does he bring along?
yeah, Crypto, so that he won't eat, or
Big-
so that Crypto won't kill his parents' cows.
Yeah, he brings Crypto along, so he doesn't, destroy half the things, uh, destroy the cows,
Hmm,
which I find funny. I find that
hmm,
funny. But then Mr. Terrific's like, "You bought that damn dog?"
hmm.
I was laughing about that. I was just like,
Yeah,
my
it's
what?
something. That's something that maybe comes with this version of like James Gunn's version of Mr. Terrific, because I remember most of the Mr. Terrifics in the post-crisis era or early 2000s where the Mr. Terrific was drawn with maybe someone looking somewhat older, more stoic, and someone who, well, like for example, uh, Dennis Haybert in 24 when he played David Palmer. Like that's possibly how I remember imagining Mr. Terrific or hearing Mr. Terrific speak when I read those comics in the early 2000s or somewhere from the early 2000s, and how that Mr. Terrific was drawn. But this was a different iteration.
Right, yeah. So there was, but my audience, the people that were in my audience in the cinema were laughing because the crypto thing, the jokes that landed with some of the jokes landed,
Mm.
and the audience, my audience did, was like people in my audience, sorry, the theater that I was in, and the cinema that was the audience that was watching it with me. it was like laughing. My brother enjoyed it as well. Um, but bring it back to the film. Um, I also like when we got to the film, when we got to the ending, Superman saves Metropolis as per usual, fixes things, and
Yeah.
the fight against Ultraman kicks off.
Yeah,
And
that happened, and yeah, fight against Ultra. Actually, it's still cost mostly that he fights Ultraman and the
engineer,
engineer.
yeah.
It's not until they have fight until engineer is down for the count. That's not. It's only at that point when Ultraman is then unmasked.
But before that, he fights Ultraman and engineer, and I felt that the CGI for this was really cool. Like you got to see like the engineer using his special abilities to trying to neutralize Superman, and it didn't work because Superman was flying so high up into the sky,
Mm.
and they could obviously the engineer couldn't hack it because Superman was like covered with nanotech type of
Yeah,
thing.
that's actually now that I comment that. Was it some point, or was it just with movies that James Gunn has? Because I don't remember how many other movies have done used some kind of that kind of certain particular also particle effect CGI effect in how the nanotechnology works, and it was also kind of similar with the cubes or those cube technologies with the in the framings of the pocket dimension.
The pocket dimension was interesting, and but it was like
The
they
effect,
managed to stay, but the effect was there.
yeah, the particle effects. I was talking
Yeah,
about those.
like it was interesting to see how Superman was able to get sophisticates himself into the air and whatnot, and then he lands back into Metropolis. The engineer's knocked out. He pulls it out of his
Mm,
mouth, and I'm just like, I was like, ew, that's a bit nasty.
mm,
I was like, that's nasty, bro. So, and I was just like, I, I, I still think, I still think it was interesting to see that the engineer and Superman were, you know, sorry, the engineer and Ultraman were fighting Superman 2-on-1, mind you, because remember, Mr. Terrific got knocked out.
mm.
So that was interesting. Um, but then you had the big fight between Ultraman and Superman,
Yeah, and
and
then Ultraman got unmasked, and they reveal that he is,
a clone.
yeah, basically Bizarro by another name.
He was a clone of Superman, and you could see like he had the long hair. He
Yeah, the long hair kind of could have been maybe a reference to L. How do you pronounce L?
uh, no, I
Yeah,
just
the
call him
new,
her.
yeah, okay, he L. Yeah,
Heel.
the new 52
New 52
prototype,
ish.
some kind of reinvention of that they try to do on Bizarro before Forever Evil, just Bizarro.
Yeah, but it was like he had long hair, and Lex was talking through Ultraman to talk to Superman because he thinks that Superman hasn't got the upper hand. But so he was giving him Lex was giving Ultraman commands to take down Superman, and so they went far and beyond with that fight. So they went through a building, and they almost went down to the pocket dimension. And then when Superman was almost down and out, who does Superman call? Crypto.
Hmm.
Crypto. Crypto comes in,
And
saves the
just like
day,
with the Peace Spears,
and
takes out
just
the
like with
drones.
yep, just with the TSBs, he takes out the drones because Superman commands him. And once he takes those out, it was a fair fight. That's it. Ultraman is done. Ultraman is done. I was laughing with the fact that Crypto was just like being a good boy for once and taking out those robots, which was good. So we get to that, and next thing you know is Superman finds Lex because
he was here. There was the one. There was like two towers with the one part in the middle, and that got separated out when the pocket dimension schism was coming out and pulled the two towers apart, and it turned into basically a ship.
Yeah, but it's like what's the word I'm looking for? The word I was gonna say is, so Superman finds Lex, and Crypto comes in, stops the pocket dimension from, well, Mr. Terrific gets up, obviously. Mr. Terrific stops the pocket dimension from spreading even further and reduces it back because Superman stops the clone before that. And after that, Superman makes this huge speech about being human. I love, I cry, I try to put one feet above the other. It's a very powerful speech that he made to Lex.
Yeah, I have seen people talk about trying to discredit it and say this, but I have because I've been working on something else currently, and so kind of something similar to it in how in story, how other story reasons or reasons how it would be justified, that it's not just maybe as exposition or something to showcase to the audience that like most people have been trying to paint it. It's basically because Luthor, as he has been written and portrayed in the movie, is so stubborn about his views on Superman that he literally needs to get this picture painted for him, and said with simple words and confronted with a reality that he is denying.
Right. Yeah.
With anyone else, it would not be someone who does not have the same stubbornness problem could just see Superman's actions speak for himself. Like that's pretty much what I think what Snyder was trying to do, that have Superman's actions speak for him. But with Luthor being too stubborn, this was something that it had to be spoken and not just shown, but also be told.
Exactly. And obviously, then Crypto comes in, destroys everything, and takes out Lex.
Yeah, he was lucky to only survive to just get some few scratches on his face.
Yeah, he was lucky.
And maybe a broken arm, since he has a sling when he is taken to that.
He had a sling on his arm, and he was lucky to survive from a Kryptonian dog. So, and then after that, you get like this cool scene. He goes back to the fortress, and the dialogue between Superman robot number 4 and Superman says, "I like to prefer the name Gary, blah blah blah." And who just come in before that?
Supergirl,
yes. Supergirl makes an appearance in this film. Really, all Supergirl makes an appearance in this film. Oh, I forgot to mention. You know the fight in the Bavaria and Jaipur?
Yeah.
The president was deleted from Hawkgirl.
That's pretty much something that hopefully, when it comes to like following supplementary material, like in Peacemaker or somewhere else, so that there it's going to be some consequence for those actions. Because I have over there. I have one book with like the greatest Superman stories ever told. One of them is 2 pages long story written and drawn by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster on how they had basically decided on if Superman was real, how he would have ended World War II. It's basically just has Superman going to Europe and going to, okay, I'm going to censor myself also, take the German dictator, then go to Russia, take the Soviet
So
dictator, and bring them
let
to Geneva.
so let's
Like,
let's put it like this, right? So the Hawk Girl and the Justice gangs help the people of Jaipur get
yeah,
away from the
defend them from Boravia, and then Hawk Girl went after the president of Boravia.
yes. So that was interesting and that was
Yeah,
cool. And obviously, like I said, the whole Lex thing plays out. But then Superman goes obviously go back to the fortress. We see Millie Alcott, Supergirl. She says, "Where's my dog?" Crypto jumps on her, and this is like Superman saying, "So this is where she gets. This is why he's so
yeah, one of those,
misbehaved."
one of those closing of the movie kind of tying that last bit of why the character was, and actually thinking about the whole thing that as a Kryptonian dog who was supposedly the family dog of the elves before Krypton blew up, you could actually also make that it would make sense that that Krypto was Kara's dog if the if she's supposed to be older. Is is she older than Clark in this version? Because if they had the Krypto as a family dog during the when Krypton was still existed, and then were able that and then she would have had been Krypto's owner before Clark became Kal-El was born and became Superman
Yeah,
from Clark.
but we'll have to wait and see for Supergirl, the next film, which is Supergirl. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out.
Yeah, and also probably could need go read Woman of Tomorrow if it's gonna be based on that.
Yeah, apparently it's based on Woman of Tomorrow, so we gotta wait and see on how Supergirl is. I'm looking forward to the film. I'm definitely going to be checking that out. Then obviously it ends with Superman healing, and then the films ends, and then we get two post-credit scenes. By the way, did you
Yeah,
stay for the two post-credit scenes?
yeah, it's basically this image that you have in the background, or with Crypto basically in a hugging position with Superman when he watching on the moon
Yeah,
watching, and then there's a scene with Mr. Terrific.
yeah, which was the post-credit and after-credit scene, and I gotta say it was really interesting that it didn't jump into the next film. That gives us a teaser, anything for the next film. But
I think,
go on.
yeah, I think James Gunn said something about not wanting to do those kinds of post-credit scenes because you can never be so too sure on what the next project is gonna be when it's done.
Which is interesting. Interesting that
Yeah, so
direction.
far we just have Supergirl, but Supergirl was pretty much already teased and set up by having Millie Alcock make a cameo.
Yeah. So
And
I'm sorry. Go on.
so makes me wonder if Clayface is gonna show up at the end of the Supergirl movie. Since Clayface is also the other movie that's gonna be coming out in the DCU next. One of those.
It's ultimately going to be interesting to see how how um how things go for Supergirl. But I gotta say, overall, this film was fun. Definitely saw that. I went to see it again, and I saw a lot of things that I didn't see the first time around, which was mural, which showed the past 300 superheroes for 300 years, which I thought that was interesting from the Hall of Justice. And there was a lot of other Easter eggs to writers in this film, and That was also cool. And like I said, you got cameos from uh, Christopher Reeve's son, and you got cameos from uh, Michael Rosenbaum, like you said.
Yeah,
So
yeah, voice cameo. It would be would need to watch the movie again to actually pinpoint
I have to watch it.
where the
I
Raptor
have
is
to watch it.
talking.
I have to watch it a third time in order for me to kind of
Mm,
recognize it.
mm.
But yeah, he was in the film. But overall, though, like if you had to rate this film out of 10, what would you rate it?
I think I rated it already somewhere about 7-ish, 7 out of 10 when I first saw it. But I suppose I could, having now actually recognized how some of things work from a different perspective, I could maybe raise it to somewhere to 8.5 or a very low 9. There are still like the a me problem. Some
Yeah,
people like it, but it's a me problem to think that this could have still worked as a Superman legacy instead of just Superman 2025 in brackets.
yeah.
Yeah. But
For me, it's a 9, a solid 9. I think because there was a lot of laughter, a lot of funny moments. There was a heartfelt into this. There was a there was a mess. There's a like a there was a message sent for this film, you know, and it's a
messages.
message. Sorry, yeah, messages. Sorry, heartfelt messages in this film that can relate to the audience. And
Hmm.
now that I feel that I personally think that the Superman film did really well, and I can't wait for the more DCU projects. And we forgot to mention as well is Peacemaker was also in this film too. John Cena did appear in this film.
Yeah, what really had a TV cameo when Superman was taking off his boots. Well, actually we didn't mention that the thing on the other side of the window while he was just
Yeah,
had a scene with
that
Lois.
we all thought that was Solaris, but
Mm,
it was not. It was not
yeah,
Solaris at all. It
yeah,
was
it
at.
was.
It was like a monster.
Yeah, but something that Superman said that it would have been an interdimensional imp,
Oh, okay,
which
that's interesting.
could either make it be like a Mixes Pitlick who is okay to go against other people than just Superman, or you remember there was that other imp in Grant Morrison's Action Comics run, Vindictives, or something like
No,
that.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
But
there was some character like that.
right, okay, I'll have to
Yeah,
look this up. But
yeah, it's like if Mixes Pitlick is the imp who's
misbehaving.
dead set focused on playing with Superman. Vindictives could be the other imp who is willing to play with anyone.
Oh, okay. I'll have to look that up. So I'll have to look that up and find out who that is. But overall, though, I think this movie was worth it. I think people should watch this film over again if they can. Soon, when it comes out on Blu-ray and DVD, I'm going to pick it up on Blu-ray and DVD. That's going to be one of those films that I'm going to be like interested, checking it out, and giving it an opportunity. So giving it like I gave this a chance. You see, not many people have given it a chance. They say, "Oh, it's gonna flop." After the first trailer, James Gunn won me over. It
Yeah,
was like because it simply just blew my socks off.
yeah. And
So
I was open from the very first time they came out that I was always going to go into this with low expectations and basically telling the movie to wow me. Uh,
yeah, it had to wow me, and it did. My brother enjoyed it. My elder brother enjoyed it. My uh, people that I know enjoyed it. Like Jared from Comics League, he enjoyed
mm,
it. Uh, I know that a lot of other people also enjoyed it as well. So it's like at least there's some people out there that enjoyed it, and it's making its money back, guys. I'm just gonna put that out there. It's making its money back, so it's reached over $500 million at the box office right now.
Yeah, not just
Which
from
is
the ticket sales, but also
well,
merchandise is bringing the money back. They were the advanced sales of it on Amazon,
mhm.
and then there was all and eventually when it comes to the Blu-ray sales,
It's gonna make
if,
its money back, and it's gonna make more than in total. I reckon it'll make about BVS numbers. I'd say if it reaches BVS numbers, I think that's a win. And then Warner Brothers can say, okay, we financially they made a profit from this.
yes, and
So that's the good thing. Now, I'll say one negative thing though that really kind of wish they didn't do, which is which I took 1 point off for, was the repeat of John Williams' score in this.
yeah,
That's the 1 point I got taken
yeah,
away from this.
it was kind of because it was basically rescored with like or played with different instruments.
Yeah,
That kind of made it kind of feel fresh-ish, but it's still kind of Superman with a different theme. Like most Superman shows or different Superman medias have different Superman theme songs. Like for example, there's the Fleischer cartoons had it was the theme that went like this.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Then after Donner films, there's the Lois and Clark show had the
yeah, yeah. We don't want to get copyright. We don't want to get copyright.
Sorry,
Okay.
okay, yeah, okay, yeah. And Smallville had Somebody Save Me. Superman and Lois had actually a short kind of jingle.
I just think, but I understand what you're saying, and I feel like the one thing that James Gunn needs to do is to give Superman his own identity. He needs to have his own identity for the next film or the next project for Superman. He's heavily involved. Give him his own jingle. If not, then you're kind of going to be stuck in the 1970 era, which we don't need. So, so that's what I've got to say for the minuses. But other than that, there's a lot of positives that is out there. So, but honestly, though, I want to say thank you to everyone that has been watching this stream, this spoiler talk stream. We heavily dived deep into this James Gunn Superman film, and from start to finish, we kind of discussed it extensively. Honestly, it's a great film, and we would highly recommend you guys checking it out. If you haven't checked it out yet, still in the cinemas, please go check it out. And let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below of what did you think of the film, if what is your favorite moment of the film, what did you dislike about the film, and also what did you think of James Gunn taking this Superman to the next level. We got a question. I'll take couple of questions from Blazing Flame. Welcome, dude. He says, hi Taladia. Don't you think Superman is weak in this movie? He's on the same level as I would say Superman the animated series.
Yeah. It's mostly when it comes to Superman's strength levels or durability is mostly if you want to talk about how Superman's strongest, like so we could say that Superman is strong enough to be against anybody, but the strength and the conflict on how his strength should be portrayed is him needing to know and assess in a situation on how much he should hold himself back.
I wouldn't say he's weak, but I'd say he's on the same level as Superman as the animated series. Because he's a young Superman. It's not a Superman in his prime. So
compared to the actual Kingdom Come Superman, who has the red and black version of the shield he has in this movie, who in his advanced age has become immune to kryptonite.
And I don't think it's weak though. I just think his level is on the same level as Superman the animated series or the Fletcher cartoon type of Superman level power level set. That's the way I see it.
Hmm.
But honestly, though, Pika, I'd like to say thank you for coming to do this spoiler talk stream with me.
Yep.
I know you're a guest on the show, and he's a member on my channel, so it'd be super appreciated for that. Now, guys, if you want to check me out, it's at Taladia Plays _ on X. Pika, where can they find you? What are you coming up on your channel?
There's my channel. You can find me on these names in YouTube and on Twitter. And some current figures. I have some plans to do bi-weekly videos on covering Watchmen issue by issue and comparing it to the 2009 movie and the two-parted animated movie that came out last year. And
Okay.
I'm also still in video games, close to finishing up Final Fantasy 16. Just a few more side quests and then to defeat Ultima.
Awesome.
Yeah, I stream 3 times a week. Tuesday, Thursday, Sundays.
Cool. As for me, guys, you can check me out at Taladia Plays _ on X. And what I got coming up on my channel, and Blazing Flame, I'm going to answer that right now. I am going to be doing a video talking about WB Games Montreal making a new live service DC video game. What do I feel about it? How do I think? Where do I see them going from here? I'll be making a video on that for sure. So you guys are up to date when it comes down to gaming stuff. Wednesday, guys, I'll be doing Marvel Rivals content with Jared from Comics League, as we'll be playing some. We'll be doing some quick play just for fun for an hour and a half, where we just play some quick play, and it'll be fun to do that with him. Then over the weekend or something, I'm going to be doing something with a few. I'll be on Chainsaw React channel for council, so make sure you guys do check out Chainsaw Reacts. As sorry, here I am. There you go. If you go to this guy's channel, Chainsaw Reacts, make sure you guys do go check him out for every Wednesday for Council of Creators. Tomorrow as well, tomorrow night, I'm also going to mention this. I'm going to be on Party Nation. So make sure you guys check me out there as we'll be continuing on our ranking for lowest lanes. So there's that as well. So hope you have enjoyed. Make sure you leave a like the stream, guys, and share the stream with your friends. You'll be appreciated for that. Share your thoughts in the comment section below of the movie. I would like to hear your thoughts and opinions on the movie. Just like a civil discussion. I would love to hear your opinions on it. No swearing, no backbiting, none of that. I just want to be an honest, truthful opinion. No swearing and none of that, because I don't like seeing that type of stuff. And if you're new around here, feel free to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, because when a video or a live stream that I do, you will be notified of when those content that I do, you'll be notified for those things. And if you want to become a member like Pika has, and he's a member, if you want to become a member like him, hit that join button, guys, and you too can be on the show or partake in me coming on your channel and so on and so forth. And you also get the Discord server as well. So with that being said, hope you have enjoyed. Make sure you like, comment, favor, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time for some more podcasting very, very soon. So stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
And you are geek.